The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Jesus began to speak to the chief priests, the scribes, and the elders in parables. A man planted a vineyard, put a hedge around it, dug a winepress, and built a tower. Then he released it to tenant farmers and left on a journey. At the proper time, he sent a servant to the tenants to obtain from them some of the produce of the vineyard. But they seized him, beat him, and sent him away empty-handed. Again he sent them another servant, and that one they beat over the head and treated shamefully. He sent yet another whom they killed. So too many others, some they beat, others they killed. He had one other to send, a beloved son. He sent him to them last of all, thinking, "They will respect my son." But those tenants said to one another, "This is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and the inheritance will be ours." So they seized him and killed him, and threw him out of the vineyard. What then will the owner of the vineyard do? He will come, put the tenants to death, and give the vineyards to others. Have you not read this scripture passage? The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. By the Lord has this been done, and it is wonderful in our eyes. They were seeking to arrest him, but they feared the crowd, for they realized that he had addressed a parable to them. So they left him and went away. Brothers and sisters, the Gospel of the Lord.
Praise be to the Lord Jesus Christ.
Have you ever met someone who would say, "Basta mabait naman akong tao, okay na yun. Basta mabait naman akong tao, sapat na yun. I don't hurt anyone, I do my job, and I mind my own business." For many people, the goal of life is simply to avoid doing bad things. But today's first reading reminds us that God calls us to something greater than merely avoiding evil. He gave us a precious gift of faith, and He calls us to grow. In the first reading, St. Peter tells us, "Make every effort to supplement your faith with virtue, virtue with knowledge, knowledge with self-control, self-control with endurance." And so, my dear brothers and sisters, we could see here a ladder of virtues. Notice the repeated movement. Peter is describing a faith that is always developing, always transforming, always improving. Think of riding a bicycle. The moment you stop pedaling, you begin to lose momentum. Same is true with cars. Same is true in our spiritual life. There is no neutral gear. Kapag sa sasakyan naka-neutral ka, hindi ka aabante, hindi ka aatras. But in our spiritual life, there is no neutral gear. We are either growing closer to God or drifting away from Him. No middle ground. Many of us assume that holiness happens automatically with age. Iniisip natin, mas magiging banal tayo habang tayo ay tumatanda, but not necessarily. Because age and maturity are not same thing. Magkaiba po yun. Tumatanda tayo, pero hindi lahat nagmamature. Some people grow older, but not kinder. Some people grow older, but not more patient. Some people grow older, but not more loving. Mas grumpy. Minsan ito po yung sinasabi ng nanay namin, para kang tumatandang paurong. Christian maturity requires intentional effort. And that is why Peter tells us, make every effort. Mag-effort naman daw po tayo. And we can learn from St. Justin Martyr, the saint whose memorial we are celebrating today. Justin was a brilliant philosopher. He spent years searching for wisdom. Yet, when he discovered Christ, He did not conclude that he had finally arrived and no longer needed to grow. Hindi niya po sinabi, natagpuan ko na si Jesus, nakilala ko na si Jesus, okay na ako. No. Instead, his knowledge became faith, his faith became courage, his courage became witness, and eventually, that witness cost him his life as a martyr of Jesus. Nag-develop yung kanyang kaalaman, karunungan, hanggang siya ay naging martyr ni Jesus. Justin was not martyred because he knew Christ or Christianity. He was martyred because he allowed the truth to transform him. My dear brothers and sisters, we heard in the gospel reading a sharp contrast. The tenants in the vineyard are entrusted with the great gift of stewardship. Sa kanila pinagkatiwala. Yet, instead of becoming grateful stewards, they became possessive owners. Instead of developing the trust given to them to becoming hard work, gratefulness, and even generosity, they became selfish. The vineyard was never theirs, but they acted as though it was. Isn't that, my dear friends, still a temptation still present today? We begin treating God's gifts as our possession. This is my time, my money, my talent, my family, my career, my own plans. But everything we have is ultimately entrusted to us by God. Ipinahiram lang po sa atin. The tenants stopped seeing themselves as stewards and started seeing themselves as owners. And that is where their downfall began. Doon po sila simulang bumagsak. St. Peter tells us to grow in virtue because growth keeps us rooted in God. When we stop growing spiritually, we slowly begin centering life around ourselves. Now we focus on ourselves. We become less grateful. We become less humble, less aware that everything is a gift to us. And so, my dear friends, the challenge today is simple. Ask yourself, where has my spiritual growth stalled? Saan po huminto yung paglago ng ating buhay spiritual? Maybe your prayer life has become routine. Paulit-ulit na lang, hindi na nag-i-improve. Maybe you've stopped fighting a recurring temptation or sin. Sasabihin mo, paulit-ulit ko naman ito nagagawa, sige na lang. Or maybe you have become comfortable with the faith that asks little from you. Basta kung ano na lang ginagawa ko, ito na lang yan. No extra effort. But let us be conscious of our gifts and let us improve them for God. And so today, let us ask prayers from Saint Justin Martyr. And so we could imitate him as well. He became a martyr because day after day, he kept saying yes to God, allowing faith to grow into virtue, virtue into courage, and courage into love. May we also do the same, trusting that God is not finished with us yet. Amen.